Hi guys, and welcome to another FaceHammer show. This show is going to all be about Flesh Eater Courts and the new Battletome that comes in the new FOMO box. Oh, sorry, it's these guys, the nice looking ones that go on the Crusade. Oh no, it's not, it's these horrible things. It's the Flesh Eater Courts. Thank you Games Workshop for sending me the set. So I thought I'd had some time. I'm going to do a full review. So I've done a PDF and gone summarised all the allegiance rules, artifacts, added my insights. I color coded some of them. Just a traffic light system. Doesn't mean that you can't use red ones. It's just that I don't think they're the go-to for competitive play, but they're all good in their own ways, and I'll talk about that as well when I talk through them, so I'm not just going to dismiss stuff outright. I do have a bit of a cold. I'm struggling with it all week. I'm trying to get through this video. If I am a little bit more sort of nasally or I sniff, or I'm sorry, I'll try to edit as much out as I can. But there you go. So let's get into it. It's a normal, what you'd expect from us from a Battletome review. I'll give you my insights. I'll go through all the rules. I'll give you my summary before we start, because you probably, rather than just start regurgitating rules at you, I want to give you my reaction. So I've played a bit of Flesh Eaters in the past. I've played Blister Skin. I've used the Royal Mordants formation before. Vargulf, kind of my favourite model. I really like the fact you could heal both with the muster. So things have been completely reworked. So spell lore, completely gutted. There's still useful spells, but they're kind of spread around on war scrolls. So they're okay. Got access to prayers now. That's new. All the summoning has changed. So there's no command point summoning anymore. It all works around noble deeds, which is a resource you gain on heroes while doing things, casting spells, chanting prayers, etc. You spend those to muster, you spend those to summon. So there's no more just roll dice on a 5-up, put a model in. The mortal wound output of the army has dropped quite a bit because Flayers have lost that. I think they lost it in the Harbinger book. They do have a good shooting attack. It's got good rend. So, you know, they're still okay. You've got access to a few more units now. I think the newer units are probably more enticing than the older ones. There's still some things. I think the Archregent's probably going to go there. Obviously, the big news, the big model is Azoran, the Mortarch. He's great. I don't think he's quite as clutch as Catacross, because I think you can roll lots of different lists without him, unlike in OBR where you kind of need to take him now, especially with all the points hits and the healing hit. He kind of becomes even more clutch, which is why I find it funny that they changed the rules and put his points up, but you kind of like, well, there's no alternative. You're going to keep taking him. They didn't do very well at the weekend, OBR, so I don't think they're in a great spot again. It's probably it now for them until they get a new book, unfortunately, probably a couple of years away. So, anyway, that's OBR. So, Flesh Eaters, is this a good book? Yes. I think overall, the battle tactics are good. I think it's competitive. I think there's a lot of variance in the army. There are alternate lists. Obviously, you've still got the Nagash list. I don't know if it's going to be quite the same. It's not really my forte. I really like Nagash and Flesh Eaters. And I think some of the older war scrolls, I think one of the losing war scrolls really is the Vargulf. I think it's lost a lot. It's gained not really much. It's got a new model, which I actually prefer the old one. And I think you're just not going to see it very often. It's too expensive for what it does. Yeah, maybe I'm missing something. When I'll go back through, this is my initial reaction. If I go through the book, I think the Morbeg Knights are proper good. And I think lists centered around knights, which are like your Flayers, Horrors, Morbeg Knights, and Hollowmorn, are going to be very popular. There's still Gristlegore lists. I don't think they're as good as they ever were when Feck was a bit egregious. But you can still run them. I'm not sure whether a Terrorgeist Scream list is better in Soulblight or in Flesh Eaters. So I actually quite like the Lorcavai, Vengorian Lord Terrorgeist list from the Soulblight Gravelord's book. Easy for me to say. That's my initial thoughts. I'm going to go through all the rules. I'll go for the War Scrolls. I'll show you the points. And then I'm going to give you a summary at the end. After I've done that with you, I'll have a bit more understanding of things I think will be go-to or not. I think there are some War Scrolls you'll have in every list, and I'll highlight those as we go through them. So it's going to be a long show. Strap yourself in. Hopefully you're excited about this. And let's get into it without further ado. So let's go. I already tried to record this and realised my mic wasn't working, so I'll go back to the top. Right, so Army Special Rules. So you've got your Grand Courts. Now these give you a rule, nothing too exciting. So Morgaunt give you +1 Noble Deed if you're contesting an objective. So your heroes can gain extra Noble Deeds. It's okay. It also makes Crypt Guard, which are one of the new units, battle line. They're okay, actually. They're pretty good. Hollow Morn, I've put as green. That's my go-to. This is my gut reaction. I really like Knights. I think +1 damage on the charge is just great. They do have a lack of rend or mortal wound output, but the Morbeg Knights don't have that issue. So although it doesn't apply to their mounts, I think it's still good. Makes Crypt Horrors battle line. I think they're a great battle line unit. I'll get into that later. Blister Skin. A bit disappointed with this one. I used to like Blister Skin a lot for the extra movement, the fly high. I think they were cool. It does make Flayers battle line. I'm not really that hot on Flayers at the moment. I think losing the mortal wounds on the combat attack's massive. And also the shooting attack's good. Sure. They're only a little bit faster than Horrors. Like, Horrors are quite fast, actually. I just don't know if you take these over Horrors that often. It does make you abhorrent character's priest, but the only issue is they've put a caveat that you can't cast and chant in the same turn. So you're really giving up a spell to become a priest, and the prayers are good, but they're not. I don't think they're as clutch as you need them, and the spells on your characters are pretty important. So yeah, I mean, one thing I will say is you've lost the plus attack spell. That's no longer a thing. So maybe you make one a priest. It does give you an option if you play against someone who's got very good anti-magic. You know, they got Nagash, or they got like Croak and a Slan or whatever. It does give you an option to actually get some buffs off without them being able to interfere with them. But I still don't rate this Grand Court. Crystal Gore I've put as red. It probably should be orange. Only reason, it says pick one monster in your combat phase to strike first. You can't do it in their go. So you're basically charging. But if you're going to activate first anyway, are you really going to need to activate two things before they activate? Is it that good? I don't know. And it does make Unridden Monsters battle line, which is fine. But your battle lines are not expensive. I don't know if it's worth it, if that's the way, you know. You've got Deathless Save, which is your 6-up standard death save. No caveats of any restrictions. Noble Deeds is the new resource mechanic. For whatever reason, seem to like resource mechanics. Heroes generate points up to a max of 6. You do that when you cast a spell that's not unbound. When you chant a prayer, this all has to be successful. Or each wound caused in combat, and again, it has to not be negated. Those give you points up to 6. Now, Feeding Frenzy is triggered off of being wholly within 12 of a hero with 6 Noble Deeds. There is a way to make this 4 Noble Deeds. There are Azoran's range is the same, but it's 24, not 12. So there are some things that make this easier. But obviously, +1 attack on all your melee weapons or units, pretty important. Your characters are going to want to be near, but obviously the resource, you think, I just cap at 6, that's fine. Should be easy. But you actually use it for your healing as well. So your Muster Guard, which used to be roll dice on a 5-up or a 2-up if it's a ghoul, now is you spend those points, and a ghoul or a serf, basically, so anything with 1 wound is worth 1, and it's 2 for a knight. There is something that reduces the cost of this. I think it's a trait or an artifact. Again, if that hero's got the Noble Deeds, that's fine. And you can do it more than once. So if you had 6 points, you could put 3 knights back in a unit. That's why I think like a double reinforced Crypt Ghoul unit or like units of 6 knights would actually be quite good. Healing is good. And it's within 10. It's not wholly within 10, so it's quite a big range. I quite like this one. Then you've got Summon Loyal Subjects. So Summon Loyal Subjects is to bring units back. This isn't command abilities anymore. Once per game, any of that stuff's all gone. So now you spend, and it's only abhorrent, so you can't do it with courtier heroes. Their courtier heroes are just going to be healing and triggering Feeding Frenzy. Abhorrents are your sort of vampire heroes. They've got a lot more now. I think there's like the Cardinal guy, a few others, but the new ghoul heroes, like the Executioner things, and they are ghouls, they're courtiers. So your you can spend 6 points to bring a unit back that's been killed from your army. So you can't bring on extra units. It's what's been in part of your army. It's quite a big deal for Flesh Eaters. They have reduced the cost of the characters. Like, you know, the Archregent's not 260 anymore. I think it's 160. So you set the unit wholly within 6 of an edge and 9 away, which is the normal summoning, how you used to do it. Now, this is interesting. So these returning units, you can only bring them back once. I'm not going to get into the thing about Nagash and a whole new unit and an identical new unit and all that crap. It does say you can only bring them back once. So returning units can be brought back to the original size with Muster Guard ability, which we just covered, or Rally. So, and this all happens at the end of the movement phase. So basically you can say, right, I'm going to bring a unit on and they're within range of my hero. Now I'm going to spend this hero's points and I'm going to put an extra model back in. So if you've got the new Morbeg Knights as a unit of 3, 150 points, you bring 2 back because you round up and then spend 2 more points. They're back up to full strength. So you could do a list where you like spam units of 3, and I think it'd be quite strong, purely because you've got so much retain, you know, so much sort of recursion in that army. So that's interesting. So I do think there's a lot of list design options in this book. So I think quite like that. You've got the Courts of Delusion. So this is, you pick before the first turn, after you've deployed and picked who's going first and second. Now I've kind of coded these on situational use. So obviously like Royal Hunt, +1 to wound versus monsters is going to be amazing if you're playing only monsters, you know, so take it with a pinch of salt. I'm just saying that you're not always going to use that one. Crusading Army you could run in every single game and it would have a benefit, and that's +1 to run and charge. Obviously if you summon unit 9 away you get +1 to charge. That's pretty big. It's an 8 not a 9. There are also a character that allows you to redeploy units with a spell. Again, very good, very strong. And also the banners give you +1, so you get +2 charge. You're 7. 7's sort of better than 50-50. So, you know, it's good. Defenders of the Realm, +1 save to effect units contesting objectives. It's not terrible. You have to control the objective, though. So if they're going first and you're going to get board position, maybe it's not so good. But it's useful. If you're playing a Ghoul army, that's a really strong one. Grand Tournament, that's the only one I don't really like. +1 to hit for heroes only. If it was a whole army, it'd be great. But heroes on the charge, not the general. So, like, generally your general's the guy on the big monster with all the buffs. And I don't know how that works with, like, Azoran, because he's a War Master, so he's a general as well. So he doesn't really benefit. He probably doesn't benefit because he's got... So I don't think it benefits. So, yeah, not sure. And you've got to charge. So it's like... I don't know, not so good. Feast Day, this one only needs 4 points for Feed and Frenzy. It's just a resource point efficiency. There's always going to be a reason to take this one. It's really good. It doesn't have any caveats of what they're taking. Obviously, +1 attack. It's just fantastic on your army, especially if you've got like big ghoul units or you know your knights. It is really strong. So for me, Feast Day is a great one. You got some new heroic actions. So we've got Rousing Oration. So you can pick one Feck hero and you roll a dice for each friendly unit within 12, and on a 5 up you get a deed point. So this is just generating resource. So one of the things I think you'll do quite commonly with the Cardinal Throne is put that in sort of centrally, and then you want to put a hero in that. They generate D3 at the start of the go, then you can cast, then you can use this heroic action, probably get up to 6 quite reliably. That triggers Feast Day in a bubble around that point. It then allows you to summon and heal from that point. I think that's going to be a fairly solid tactic. I think a lot of people employ. So yeah, that Rousing Oration heroic action is very strong. Now, I believe, I will consult the book, because obviously I've shorthanded this, so apologies if you're reading this and you know, you've got the book in hand now, and I might make a couple of errors because I've kind of scanned Reddit and I've shorthanded it out. It says the start of the hero phase, so it doesn't say your hero phase. So that's really good, because obviously you can generate points in their go. So if they're going like first, you can use this to generate some points, going into your turn to get back up to 6 to replace the unit you've used as a screen or whatever. So it's both turns. Now the next one, Scent of Blood, it's you pick a hero and you roll a dice. On a free up, you can make a D6-inch move with that hero. It must finish 3 away from all enemy units, but it must be closer to have a unit that has any wounds allocated to it. Now, I don't think you can fulfill that condition unless they actually have a unit that's been hurt. So it doesn't say like models removed, it says wounds allocated to it. It's only a D6 move, so you can't really use this in a turn 1 alpha. I mean, it might get FAQ'd, I don't know. But also, you roll that dice, you roll a 1. It's like using a redeploy and rolling the 1. It just feels bad. You can't really put a strategy around it. I just think you're going to be doing the oration every turn with whichever hero needs to get the points. Because those points are so much more useful than a couple more inches. I don't see that being used, honestly. I might be wrong. There might be a trick, but I can't see it. If it was 6 inches, you might use it. If they clarify that it doesn't have to be someone who's actually wounded. Because if there aren't any wounded, you can go wherever you want. Fine, but yeah, I'm not loving that. It does say you can do it in their go, so maybe it's got a use there for towing an objective or something. Be very situational, but you might be able to like tow your Terrorgeist onto an objective and then be like, well, that's now, going to be a problem. But it's obviously a heroic action, so start the hero phase. So yeah, it kind of shows your hand anyway. You can't finish within 3, so you can't use it to pin people. If you could, that'd be really good. So you've got new rampages. So you've got this delectable appetizers. So pick one enemy unit with 2 wounds or less. Roll a dice on a free up. It calls D3 mortals, and you heal for each wound. It's a lot of dice rolling. There's a caveat, they've got 2 wounds or less. Some armies just don't have models with 2 wounds or less. Yeah, it's okay. I mean, it's a little heal if you get it off. It's like a stomp that can heal you, which is fine. But they've got wounds they've got to go through as well. And you've got the Shriek. Pick an enemy unit within 3 on a 3 plus -2 bravery. It'd be great if it only lasts to the end of the turn. If you could actually use that with a scream attack, but you can't. So really, it's only for Inspiring Presence. The Zombie Dragon does stop you using Inspiring Presence. So maybe it's good, but I don't know. You're just going to be roaring. I'm not sure. If you're playing a whole monster army, you might use it, but we'll see. Then we got some command traits. So these are for your abhorrents. Some good ones here. You got Shadowy Obfuscation. You're just not visible unless you're within 12, and there's no restriction of you not putting this on a guy on a big Terrorgeist or Zombie Dragon. So you can literally just have a stealth dragon. You can't see me if you're not within 12. You're not shooting me with your Marathi bow snakes, so I don't think they're really a thing anymore. You're not lofting arrows into me. You're not casting a spell at me. You can't see me. It's John Cena. You're John Cena-ing your general. You can't see me. I think that's good. I think it's a decent pick. It is situational, but that's a good situational. That's like, Feck don't like shooting. I don't care about shooting. Obviously 12 inches is quite close. Some armies do have a lot of decent shooting at 12, so maybe not. Feverish Scholar, +1 to cast a spell and unbind, and if you have 6 deeds +2, it's just clutch. It just generates more points. Obviously, if you already got 6, it doesn't matter. But getting +2 to cast on that spell you need to get off, great. I really like this one. I mean, it's a command trait. You can only get one of these in your army, so that's decent. Master the Menagerie can summon back a monster with 6 wounds allocated to it, but it can't be a hero. So, yeah, if you're running Gristlegore, maybe. I notice I've put Gristlegore as red. That doesn't mean it's rubbish. I don't think that's the go-to for competitive play. I might be wrong. I'm sure if you took a Gristlegore list, you could probably do quite well with it. If you've taken all the traits and all the things to synergize, and it'll be fun. So don't let me put you off if that's what you want to play. Play it, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Then you've got the courtier ones. So you'd have to take these as your general. Not sure you will. You've got Stronger in Madness, +2 wounds. Then when they got 60s, get a 5 at ward. That's great. If I could give that to a guy on a Terrorgeist, I would definitely have that. But they're not a courtier, so you can't do that. Cruel Taskmaster. Muster Guard abilities cost reduced by 1. Bring additional surf back by 1 point. So Knight's back on 1 point, and serfs you get 2 for 1, basically. It's like bog off. Buy one, get one free, if you don't know what I mean. And in the UK, bog off is telling someone to go somewhere. So there you go. Then you've got Savage Beyond Reason. Hit rolls of 6 generate 2 hits. 6 Noble Deeds generate 3 hits. So you could have a Vargulf that hits really hard. I don't think you're going to make the Vargulf your general and give up the other traits, and then and not unlock your battle line more Beg Knights because you want the other guy to be a general. I don't know. So yeah, those of these won't see play much, I don't think. Some great artifacts here. So you've got Grim Garland, -2 bravery, enemy units for 9. I think it used to be 6. Perfect for Terrorgeist Screams. Good for your Battle Shock. Obviously, if you got that plus the extra -2, then -4 bravery, there's going to be some stuff running away. You can shut down Inspire, so there is ways to play on that. Blood River Chalice, once per battle heal, do 2d3 wounds in the hero phase. Now this is in addition to your Royal Blood, so this is solid. Like if you put this on your character on Zombie Dragon, and your characters are super important in this army, you don't want to lose your characters. So getting, and I think that's in any hero phase. So I think you can do it in their hero phase. You only heal Royal Blood in your hero phase, but the Blood River Chalice you can drink in their go. So if they double you or you don't get the turn, you're like, oh, I'm going to lose my guy. 2d3 wounds back could be clutch. I think that's, let me just double check it, because you know me, I probably got excited and wrote the wrong thing down. In the hero phase. So yeah, you can do it in their go. So Blood River Chalice is really good. Now I'd probably take that one over the Garland, because so many stuff don't care about bravery. Do I even run a Terrorgeist? Probably. It's an extra 2 wounds on the 1 shriek you're probably going to get. The 2d3 heal, so much better. Heart of the Gargant, you get +1 attack to the bear and mount. If you're fishing for 6 bites on the Terrorgeist, yeah, take it. You charge in, you pop this, you go for the rerolls, because you've got a mount trait, gives you rerolls on the bite, on the fang maw. Try and pop some 6s, mortal wounds thrown off. Bit of fun, might be a secondary artifact on that guy, but the artifacts are really good. So you've got your courtier ones. You've got Medal of Madness, issue a command for free, which can be good. Flayed Pennant, reroll charge rolls, whole even 12, perfect. Love that one. That's just command point efficiency all day long. You if you put that on the guy that's like dropping down with the unit, and then they both get to reroll, perfect. Make someone a priest. So that's what I said earlier about Blister Skin. You could just take this artifact, and then you've basically only got a priest. Probably take a priest anyway. So you got your 2 priests, you got 2 prayers you want. Do you need any more priests? Probably not. So spell lore. This has been gutted. The spell lore's only got 3 spells. It used to have 6. Spell lore used to be amazing, really good, and this spell lore is okay. I mean, Masbel Shroud's interesting. So it's a range of 18. It's cast on a 6. They're all 6 and 18 or 24, so it's all 6s. So you pick an enemy unit, roll 6 dice. If you have a double 1, if you have a double, so any double, you cause a mortal wound. If you've ever played Blackstone Fortress, you know often these doubles come up when you roll 5 dice or triples. So if you're on a triple, then -1 to hit. And if you're on a quad, which is 4 numbers of the same thing, they're -1 to wound, and they're accumulative effects. If you cast on a 10+, then you can roll 8 dice instead of 6. That actually guarantees you the first one, and it's quite likely you'll get a double. So -1 to hit, -1 to wound, that's strong. The only thing I don't like about this, it's a bit random. You've got to cast it. You've probably got to roll a 10 to reliably get the -1 to wound. There'll be times when you roll it and you only get 1 mortal wound, and you're thinking all this dice roll and all this faff getting the spell off, especially in this handbook, to do 1 mortal wound. It's a bit disappointing, and a lot of the good spells are now on the war scrolls of the casters. So you're going to be casting their war scroll spell, which is also going to force you to take a suite of characters to get the buffs you want. Whereas before you could take whichever character you want and just pick the spell you wanted. So deranged transformation is on a 6 at range 24. You pick a Flesh Eater Court unit wholly within range with 7 wounds or less. Add 2 to the move and +2. I think it's +1 to wound rolls. I'll say it's not going to be +2. Yeah, it's +1. Let me double check that. Yeah, add 1. So +1 to wound rolls. So ignore that one. Sorry about that. Yeah, so +1 to wound rolls. And if you cast it on 10, you pick 3 units. So just +1 to wound is a very strong buff. And +2 move is great. And it's a long range. It's the best spell. You're probably going to take this every time. Now, the Crimson Victuals is on 618. Pick an enemy unit. You also need effect unit of a wounds character to 1 within 6 of that unit. They take D3 wounds, and you can return that models back for each wound you take. It might actually be what you slay. For each mortal wound that was caused, you can return a slain model to that friendly unit. If you roll on 10, you get 2d3 wounds. It's like the fact that you need to have another unit within 6, they have to be an 18, and you've got to cast it. It's like so many things you need to have at start your hero phase. That's why it's red. It's like it's too situational. There's too many conditions on casting that effectively, and that's why I don't like Miasmal Shroud too much, because it's too random. You know, I don't like that. I like deranged transformation. It's just good old pure. You're going to get the +2 move, +1 to wound on the unit you want. You may, as a Brucey bonus, get extra units. So spell lore disappointing, especially as their spells used to be so good. Prayer scriptures. So this is new, obviously, since you've got new priests. Bless the meal. So pick an enemy unit within 18. Each time a model is slain, you can heal a wound to a fed FEC unit within 6 inches. Now, I know that sounds great, but you've got to kill a model. And that could be really good if you want to heal your Terrorgeist up or something on like a chaff unit or like one of your heroes up because he's damaged, you know, and you think, well, I'll just chew on these models and get wounds back. So that prayer could be amazing. So that's why it's orange. That's why it's not red. It's still good. It's healing. And it's healing in both your go and their go because it lasts until your hero phase, I believe. It says... well, it doesn't actually say. It just says... Answer value 3, answer 1 enemy within range each time a model is slain. It doesn't say duration. So at the moment and it doesn't say it doesn't stack. Obviously that'll get FAQ'd. I imagine it's to your next hero phase and it won't stack. If you can bless a unit to be tasty and it just stays for the whole game, that's really strong because any of your units can chew on them and get wounds back. Obviously, you've got to kill models. That's the only thing. The Summer King's Favour. So you... it's answer on a free, range of 18. Pick a friendly Flesh Eater Court hero. And he gains 1 additional noble deed each time they kill an enemy. Yeah, trash. You can get noble because you do wounds. You don't need to kill stuff, but this means you have to kill. So you get 1 extra. Again, like... if you're in combat, you're probably going to do the wounds you need to get to 6 max anyway. It's not like you can bank extra points. Child of Conviction, pick a FEC unit, they get a 5-up ward. This is your Unholy Vitality. Anyone who played FEC knows that is the clutch spell you've got to get off. But everyone thought it was the attack spell. It wasn't, it was the ward. A 5-up ward, excellent. Can't be unbound, excellent. It's a 66% chance to work. You could make it with +1 because you could take the thing to get +1 to chant rolls. So, yeah, maybe you. It's all 2-up. It's pretty reliable. You don't want it failing. That's really good. If you've got a big unit of like, I like quite like a unit of idea of a good big unit of Crypt Horrors with a 5-up ward. healing them back, boss in the center of the board, you know, do the deranged transformation, go into combat, smash the shit out of something. They're just really good on the grind. I think they're really strong. Yeah, it's good. It's well good. You know, why not? Mount traits. You've got Zombie Dragon. They got Bad Breath. It's called Baneful Breath, but let's say get a Breath Mint. Improve the Rend. This Rend goes up from 1 to 2. I think the Rend on it used to be much better than that. It used to be like -3, I think, but fine. Death from the Skies. Set it in reserve. Descend. End of the first move phase, 9 away. The reason I put this as orange, because it's a hero. Only heroes can have these, by the way. You want your character on the board to cast and generate noble deeds. You don't want to set them up off the board. Obviously, and it has to be done at the end of the first movement phase. And obviously you go, well, I could protect myself from shooting, or I could just take the artifact, but you can't see me. So, you know, like, you can range that easy. Their move and 12, just be out of that. They can't see you. You're not going to get shot. So you don't need to take this to protect yourself. So I'm not a big fan of this one. I mean, you could do it. You get +1 to charge. So you're on an 8 away. But they move fast, so you don't really need to do this. Then you've got your Venerated Zombie Dragon. Add 1 to hit rolls for effect monsters wholly within 12. So that's all monsters within 12. Really good if you're playing Gristlegore. It's definitely what you would take. The Terrorgeist ones are just all good. A +1 attack to the Maw. Sounds simple, but you want those 6s. You want to do those 6 mortal wounds. You know, great. Just fish for those. Give re-rolls, whatever you want to do. You know, 4 dice re-rolling. You can't add attacks from spells anymore, so this is the only way to really do it. You don't get the Gristlegore, you roll to 6, you get an extra wound roll, nothing like that. Head 2d3. No, heal 2d3 instead of d3 in your hero phase. Again, that's very strong on a character. Especially if you've got the Blood River Chalice. He's going to be a pain to get rid of, especially if you put the 5-up ward on him. You get to see the combo. Morbeg Swiftness, Retreat and Charge. I just love it. I love the fact you can go where you want. Can't get pinned. You never get into your go thinking, oh, I can't go get that thing. Obviously, you can't retreat, scream in charge. I don't think you can, unless it's an ability. I'm pretty sure it's not. I'll check that when we get to the War Scrolls. But I put it as green. I think it's a little more situational, but sometimes like being in the right place is more important than all the other stuff. And being able to be not pinned. I mean, there's some stuff stops you retreating. So yeah, sure. But I really like that. I think it's good. I think it's solid. So Terrorgeist mount traits are all good. There is an argument for using that as your extra enhancement as well. I think you only get 1, whether it's Zombie Dragon or Terrorgeist. Yeah, because they're all mount traits. So yeah, you'd only get 1. So out of the 6, you're probably not taking a Zombie Dragon. Maybe you might do. I don't know. Now, let's talk about ground strategies and battle tactics. So the ground strat, legendary exploits. You need to have 3 Feck heroes on the battlefield that have 6 noble deeds. I put as red purely because you want to spend the resource. You might be able to get 3 up to that. They got to be alive. That's half of your hero allowance. I don't think it's very achievable unless you're already curb stomping someone, and if you are, you don't care about getting your grand strategy. Expand the kingdom. If a friendly abhorrent is wholly within enemy territory and the enemy general is not wholly within that territory, that's doable. You can take lots of abhorrents. Again, it really depends. Like, I just did like the second caveat. I think if it was just the first bit, if it was just that, it would be amazing. I like to defend the throne. It's garrisoned and no enemies within 6. You're probably going to garrison the throne. Like, you're going to put a character in there. They're going to be hard to shift. And, you know, 6 is not very far. And you can put it behind a sea of shit that keeps coming back to life. I generally think that one's quite good. If you have to pick from your book, obviously, you can pick ones from the handbook. Is quite good for team events if they've got strong book ones, because normally those ones are a premium. The ones in the General's Handbook. So battle tactics, these some really good ones in here. Like Scream to death, pick an enemy unit, destroy it with a missile weapon from Flayers, the Infernal Courtier, or the Terrorgeist Scream. You can sometimes guarantee this. So it's just, I'm going to kill this 1 wound thing with a shooting attack. It's probably going to happen. Or I know I'm going to do at least 1 mortal wound because I'm rolling a dice and I'm adding 6 and you're at -2 bravery. I'm going to be doing damage. So, meh. You know, Grim Garlands on Terrorgeist, you know, you can do that wound. You know that's all you've got to do to kill it. Bish Bash Bosh, auto tactic. Valiant Slayer, picking any monster if it's destroyed by an abhorrent. So all your characters on the big flappy things are abhorrents. If they've got a low wound monster, yeah, fairly easy. You know. Overrun. Every enemy unit is within 3 inches of effect unit at the end of the turn. Only reason it's orange is with casualty removal. Some units that can move away when you fight them, you know, scurry away, things like that. It's a little bit risky. There's quite a lot needs to be happening for that. Can be okay. Glorious Feast. Every friendly unit is wholly within 12 effect Kira with 6 deeds at the end of the turn. Now, this could almost be guaranteed because heroic action is start of the turn as well. So you could do your heroic action. Say they go first. You do the heroic action. In their go. You've got your guy in the Carnal Throne. He generates because he's on the Carnal Throne. That's at the start. Then at the start you do heroic action. You generate again. I've got 6. My whole army's bunched up within 12 of this thing. Bish Bash Bosh done. So, you know, it's not guaranteed, but it can be. Like later in the game, you're like, well, I've got 6 deeds. Everything's going to be wholly within 12 of that. Bish Bash done. Probably won't be doing it on turn 1 because you won't get board position stuff. But actually, I think it's there's so many times in a situation in the game where that will be an auto tactic. So, Lance formation, 2 or more knight units make a charge, and the charge roll was 7 or more. If the second bit wasn't there, we're great. You need 7s. Obviously, if you're running lots of knights and you're rolling like 8 charges, you're probably going to get this. Especially as you get plus to charges in ways. You take the Grand Tournament +1 the charge. I think it's not Grand Tournament. The Royal Hunt, whatever it is. One of them gives you +1 to charge. Crusading Army. There you go. I'll get it right in a minute. Crusading Army. And also the command in the Moorbeg Knights. I think one of those gives you +1 to charge. That's +2. If you roll 5s, that's pretty easy. Like, if you've got the list for it, that's fine. Ties your chivalry. Pick an objective your opponent controls. You complete it if you control it, and 1 serf, 1 knight, and 1 courtier contests. Again, if you've got a rounded out army, that's fairly easy. You know, you could do it that they control 1 by just towing it. I'm going to just tow these 3 things on. I've just scored it. So yeah, I like their battle tactics are strong. They're really good. Like I think in Age of Sigmar, that's half the battle. Well, it's probably 80% of the battle, to be honest. Having battle tactics you can do in situations which don't require you to sacrifice positional play or objective play, and don't require you to roll dice. So some of these do, but they're fairly reliable. You know, you get 5 tactics every turn in your grand strat, you're probably winning the game. Doesn't matter about objective control, really. I mean, it does a little bit, but not as much. This is where the game's won and lost. So that's a really good sign for the competitive state of the book. And I think if you're playing FEC, I'd be pretty confident about the future. How far they get adjusted, I'm sure there will be some nerf bats coming in after a while. I think there's some War Scroll points that seem a bit out of whack, and I'm sure they'll get adjusted. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. I think, yeah, at the moment, this book's looking super solid. So let's get into the War Scrolls, and then we can talk about all the units. So let's start with Azoran, the Mortarch of Delusion. 16 wounds, 4 up save, movement 10. Stuff in this army is fast. It's not slow, even if it's infantry. He's a wizard, casts 2 spells and binds 2 spells. Don't think he's a priest. No, he's not. He's a war master. He's got the epicenter of delusion. So you can pick a delusion and until next hero phase it applies. Well, they're wholly within his this range here, so 30 inches, it drops down to 12. And that in addition, so and it's in your hero phase, so you get to double up your Delusion. Great. Carrying King, if he's got 6 noble deeds, his Feeding Frenzy is 24, not 12. Perfect. And he's going to be doing quite a lot of damage in combat with his profile. You can see here 10 attacks, freeze, rend 1, damage 2, and 3 attacks, freeze 2s, rend 2, damage D3 plus 3 with the scepter. 3-inch reach as well, 2-inch reach, so you can screen him with ghouls or something to reduce attacks coming in, or models that can get within range. And he can just tow his scepter in. I think he's on an oval base, it looks like it. So that's even better. So Shroud Cage Fragment. So this is a bit unusual. It might need an FAQ. So what this says here, it says at the start of the combat phase, you -1 from bravery of enemy units within 3 inches. But it doesn't say this is capped once per game, or that units can only have this effect once. So this might stack. Then it also says that if you're within 1 inch, you roll 2d6, and if it's higher than their bravery, you get strike last. So pretty good, and it hits multiple things. But if this bravery debuff stacks, so then you've got ways to shut off Inspiring Presence and you've got Screams, that's pretty strong. I'll probably need an FAQ. 5-up ward, in addition, healed 2d3 wounds. That recursion's great. I know he's only got 4-up armor save, but 16 wounds is a big buffer. Gets 2d3 wounds back in your hero phase and a 5-up ward. Makes him fairly resilient. Obviously, you can take from the spell lore. You can't give him artifacts or anything, but then he's got this spell, Glimpse of Delusion. It's cast on a 7, a range of 18. You pick an enemy model, and then you pick a melee weapon, and then you pick another enemy unit within range. That enemy model makes a combat attack on that unit. So as long as they're spread out, it ain't gonna matter. But sometimes people will just mess up and you'll get that attack chance. It's cast on a 7. He doesn't have any bonuses to cast. So, you know, it's not that likely. I don't think this spell's a bit situational. So I think this Madness spell's really cool, but you're probably going to be taking Transformation and then you're running Mystic Shield or whatever, you know, and you probably pop it on himself every time. But yeah, he's super sweet. He's super sweet. Then you've got your Borant Ghoul King on Royal Terrorgeist. I do apologise for the photo framing of these. It was a little bit rushed. 16 wounds, 4-up save. Movement 14. He's not really changed much. 10-inch range on the Shriek. Again, you had 6. He's got 7 on the Talons. I'm pretty sure the Talons, Skeletal Talons, he had less attacks than this. I think he probably had like 4 or 5, but he's got 7 now. 4s, 3s. It all hits on 4s the mount. 4s and 3s. Rend 2 for the bite. D6 damage. And obviously, the biggest thing there is if you roll a 6 to hit, it does take 6 mortal wounds. So you're fishing for 6s. We all like that. The Talon attack on the Rider is now damage 2. So you used to, I think you used to have 6 attacks, freeze, rend 1 damage. Now it's 4 attacks, freeze, rend 1, 2 damage. I'd actually probably like the 6 attacks at rend 1 with 1 damage each, because actually you want to cause wounds. I don't know. This mathematically is probably better. I just like rolling dice. It's got the Infested rule. It's all pretty much the same. It's got the Ferocious Hunger spell. So it used to have the Ward spell. Now what it's got is that you pick a Royal Terrorgeist within range. It's cast on a 6. You can re-roll hit rolls made by its Maw. So you're basically going to be casting this spell on yourself to re-roll your Maw attacks. If you've got the Gargant Heart, you've got 4 dice, and, you know, so, yeah, Ferocious Hunger. You just get to re-roll your Maws. I'd prefer the Ward, but it's there. Pretty good. Then you've got the Zombie Dragon. I'll do the points at the end. So Azoran's 460, but I'll get to it. Then your Borant Ghoul King on Royal Zombie Dragon. Oh, no, I will do the points now, because you're going to be flipping back and forward, aren't you? So let's talk about the points. So let me go back. So the Royal Zombie Dragon is 310, and the Terrorgeist is 315. Azoran is 460. They are battle line in Gristlegore if you... Oh, so that's the unmounted ones. So your Abhorrent Ghoul King on Terrorgeist is 450, and the Ghoul King on Zombie Dragon is 440, so hefty expensive. They do heal D3, but they are very expensive. Yeah. Then you've got the Sword-like Claws. 4 attacks, 4's freeze, Ren 1, 2 damage. The Snapping Maw is Ren 3 damage free, but it doesn't do mortals. And the Breath of Weapon is pretty mediocre. It's damage free, but it's only Ren 1. You can make it Ren 2. It says enemy units cannot receive Inspiring Presence while they're within 3, but people can do casualty removal, make sure they're not within 3. There are other things that make you immune to Battle Shock that aren't Inspiring Presence, so it's not going to do much. Your spell is Monstrous Hunger, and a range of 18. Friendly flesh-eater caught monsters wholly within range can run and charge. So that's where your run and charge comes from. It's now on the Ghoul King on Zombie Dragon, but at 440 points. Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot of points. That's 9 Morbeg Knights. I think I just take the Morbeg Knights. That's 27 wounds. Same armor save. You can be in 3 different places. There's way more damage output. You can bring them back. Not sure. Yeah, they seem a bit overcosted. New stuff. So you got the Grand Justice Gormain. So he is an abhorrent. He's not a courtier. So he is a vampire with his gut wig thing. Cool model. 6 wounds, 4 up save. He's got 4 attacks. 4's freeze, Rem 1, D3 damage. Now, what I like about this guy is he's 140 points. He is unique, so he can't have enhancements. He's got this judgment. So it says pick 1 judgment to pronounce. So it's all on a 3+, but you pick someone who's visible. So you can add 1 to wound rolls for flesh-eater caught units that target that unit until the end of the turn. So there's quite a lot of ways to buff wound rolls in the army. Then you've got this dishonorable conduct in battle. So pick an enemy unit that's visible on a 3-up can charge even if they ran. So there's a run and charge. A lot cheaper than a Terrorgeist. A Zombie Dragon. Then it's not a spell. Then you've got this grievous insult. So pick an enemy unit that's visible. Roll a dice on a 3+. You get to add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by flesh eater target it, and regicide. An enemy that's killed an abhorrent, and then you get to add 1 to damage. So that's really strong. So he's great. I think he's going to be in pretty much every list. That charge one's interesting as well, because you could pick a unit that is near other things, and you have to charge. It says as long as you finish the charge within half an inch of that enemy unit, but that doesn't mean you can't engage other things or kill it. And then this is the age-old tactic where you charge the screen with 3 things, you fight it with 1, kill it, then the other 2 pile in and hit stuff behind. So you can actually use that as a leapfrog. So that's a super cheap way of getting run and charge in your army, and you just need to be able to see it. So yeah, pretty. It obviously can't be within 3 of an enemy, a friendly unit, but if it's generally using that to alpha strike, so it's probably fine. The Gore Warden's the new hero. He is super good. So he's movement 12. He flies, 7 wounds. He's got 5 attacks, freeze, Rem 1, damage 2. Super solid. He heals because he's an abhorrent. He is a wizard as well. And he's got the Wind of Shaiish spell, which you can't really see here. But basically what this does is it's cast on a 6 and it's a range of 9. And you can pick a friendly flesh-eater caught unit that can fly, hold within range. Remove this unit and that unit, set them up more than 9 from all enemy units, and hold within 9 of each other. Neither can move. But you can still charge, and you can shoot. So if you've got your 10-inch range on your screams, you can get pluses to charge. So you could pick a big unit of flayers up, drop them in a line, 6 flayers, 9 away, but they're all within 10. They all get to shoot. They then get to charge. It's good with the knights as well, the Morbeg knights, because they're flyers. So, and he's got this royal hunting party. So instead of setting it up on the battlefield, you can place it to one side, so it's circling the skies in reserve, and you can also take a unit with him. At the end of your movement phase, again, it's 9, holding with 9 away. So you can basically, it's a bit like the Soul Scryer from Deepkin with the eels. Take them off, put them down. It protects your character, protects your important unit, puts them where you want, adds a threat. He's not expensive. He's very good. I think you're going to take multiple of him. I probably will take 2 at least. He's 150. It's very cheap for what he is. He's a good combat wizard with this redeployability. I think the Squire was like 180 or 170 points at one point. He's probably going to go up, I imagine. I think he's going to be very popular as long as you can buy him, and hope he's not just in the FOMO box, so people will be scrabbling on eBay to get him. So he is in the FOMO box. He's the hero that leads it. Archregent, this lovely model that they released. He's a 2-cast wizard, so obviously that's good for your deed points. He also gets an automatic get a unit back, a model back, or 3 serfs back. So he just has this counter servants rule. He's got a spell which the units that are set up at the end of the movement phase can immediately move D6. Now, that is really good because we just saw the other guy, right? He can set up off the table. You wait till you get the spell off. I'm going to come down, pop him down, move D6 inches. You can't do it with the spell because they're not set up at the end of the movement phase. You also do it with summons. So you summon a unit back on the table. So that spell could be pretty clutch. I know it's only D6 inches, but when you are 9 away and you're getting +1 to charge or +2 to charge, getting an extra D6 on your charge effectively means your 3D6 charge. It makes that a lot more reliable. I know it's not technically an extra D6, but it is, basically. Now, he is 150 points as well. So he's very cheap. For a 2-cast wizard with that profile, with those rules, with an automatic heal, 150? Yeah, I'm taking him. And you'll find your hero slots go like this. Abhorrent Ghoul King, 6 wounds, 4 up save, 5 attacks again. So they've all got this same profile. Royal Blood as well, they heal. He can do this thing at the start of the hero phase. You can pick an enemy hero, you get some damage. You can only hit that hero. And he's got a spell, which is unnatural speed. It can immediately charge, and you roll 3d6 for the charge. And if he gets there, he's got strike first. You can leave this guy at home. You don't have the hero slots for this guy. Yeah, he might be all right. You might like him, but yeah, the Abhorrent Ghoul King, I think you're going to leave him where he needs to be. He's 130, 20 points more. I get an extra cast. I get the automatic heal. I get arguably a better spell to get me into combat. The natural speed's okay. He's got the same combat profile. He's not going to make the cut. Not for my list. I think you're going to be restricted on what you can take. So you got the Cardinal. He's a priest. This guy's probably going to see a lot of play. This guy is let me see his points. And why have I suddenly cannot find this guy? He's a leader. There he is, 120. So he's fairly cheap. He's got a rubbish combat profile compared to the other vampires. He is still an abhorrent. He's not named, so he can be given artifacts. He's still got the royal blood. He's got speaking tongues. It's a prayer. 1 enemy unit within range. Roll a dice each time that receives a command. On a 4-up, they don't have the command ability. That is very good. Like, you know that is good. But you also unlock the prayers, so allows you to act as a prayer. And we already talked about how good the prayers can be. I think he'd probably see play. He's probably that one on the edge that you might drop. The Moral Scroll Herald. This is a courtier. So obviously that changes the artifacts you can take. Changes some stuff only works off abhorrence. So a courtier in a hero slot is quite taxing. So you got to be really careful with these. He's got a decent combat profile, and he's got lots of rules. But basically, at the end of the charge phase, pick an enemy within 3 and say that you can give them a bone. They choose whether they have the bone or don't have the bone. If they refuse the bone, then Flesh Eater Court units get strike first. Then if they accept the bone, don't accept the bone, and nothing good can happen. They become infected. Then you roll 2d6 before they issue or receive a command. Cast a spell, chant a prayer, make the roll before it's carried out. If it's greater than their bravery, they cannot do that action. So it's pretty big, especially if you do it, give your bone to the gash or whatever. Obviously, you've got to get within 3. You've got to roll over their bravery. They get a choice. They could just take the wound, take the strike last. So it's very situational. He's got to don't shoot the messenger. He's not visible while he's wholly within 6 of 5 or more Flesh Eater Court models. So he's very protected. He's okay. I just think his rules and everything, it's all a bit quirky. I'm not really going to make my cut on my list. He's 100 points, nice and cheap, but not for me. Now you're into your other courtiers. You've got Cryptgast, so combat phase, after he's fought, you can pick unit to serve so they can fight. He's pretty mediocre. I mean, he's a cheap hero. He should be cheap, but I'm struggling to find why he's expensive, but it looks like he is. Cryptgast. I almost had a heart attack. I thought it was 140 points. It's 100 points. Sure. Vargulf. He's 8 wounds. So that suddenly shuts off quite a lot of stuff because it says 7 wounds or less. Can't go in the throne, stuff like that. He does move 10. He doesn't fly, although he does move as though he can fly. It'll start the combat phase. That obviously means you can't do some of the stuff that you need to be flying for. He's got a decent profile. And it says that if you're in the combat phase and you could get +2 attacks on melee weapons, but you can only target units that have a wound characteristic of 1 or 2. And do not have a mount. So he's good at chewing up infantry. Obviously, that gives him noble deed points that he can be as like a centre point for your feeding frenzy. So at the end of the combat phase, if any models were slain, you can heal D6 wounds allocated. And he says at the end of the combat phase, your unit can immediately retreat. So it's okay. Like I just don't. I can't see you taking him when he's not a wizard. You've got 6 hero slots, and the heroes are so plentiful and good. It's a bit like the Khorne Bloodbound issue, that you've got so many good heroes that are cheap. You're just going to take the others. But he's 165 points as well, so he's more points than an Archregent. I just don't. I don't see you taking one over an Archregent. I think the Archregent is just better. He's not an abhorrent. Doesn't trigger feeding frenzy. Actually, I don't think. Because I think feeding frenzy is abhorrence only. Let me double check that, because I know there's some stuff that's restricted, but that's just heroes, so it does do that. But you can't do summon loyal subjects. You can't bring units back. I knew there was something you couldn't do. So he can't bring units back. He can heal. So he's okay. But the model, mixed. It just looks like the old model, but not as big. Crypt Infernal Courtier. So he's got this quite interesting rule, which basically, if any models are slain by wounds caused by his breath, add 1 to the damage of Crypt Flayers while they're wholly within 9 this unit. So you could get to damage 2. I think his damage there, I've cut it off, but I think it's D3. It might be 2. Let me have a look. You have to excuse me for this because I didn't really have a lot of time to prep. D3. Yeah, damage D3. So he's got 5 attacks. He only hits on a 4, though, in combat. Only hits on a 4 with shooting. He can fly. He moves 12. He's courtier. Fine. And you've got the Crypt Haunter. So again, he gets to, when he fights, you can fight with another unit. He heals. Yeah, and I don't see you taking him. You might want one of these to be up with your army, to be a feeding frenzy battery, but I think that'll be a Vargulf if it's going to be anything. Because I think the Crypt Haunter is 150. 140, and the Crypt Infernal is 145. So 140, 145. Are you just going to take another Archregent or another Gore Warden? Probably. And they do the same thing. And, you know, yeah. I have missed off the Royal Decapitator. I don't know if I actually got his War Scroll here. But the Royal Decapitator is a hero. Sorry, I'll talk about this guy. 3 attacks, 4s, freeze, Rend 2, damage 3, 5 wounds, 5 up save, movement 6. In the combat phase, after the unit is fought, you can pick one unit of serfs. Again, say fight immediately, and then you got off with the head. If any wounds caused by this headsman's axe were allocated to a hero, roll a dice on a 5 up, it's dead. So he's quite a nice little assassination piece. He's a cool model. I really like that model, but I don't know if you'll take him. You might take him just for the threat of him. Just nestle him in some ghouls. He's 100 points. So, yeah. You could make him a priest and give him access to prayers and that rather than take the cardinal. If you take the artifact. So, because the cardinal war scroll prayer's not amazing. It's all right. But Crypt Guard, new unit. These are battle line if you're trying Royal Mordants. Cursed weapons, 2-inch reach, which is good. 2 attacks, freeze, rem 1, damage 1. Way better than the ghoul profile. 1 wound, 5 up save, not a 6 up save. They got a standard bearer. If it fails a battle shock, half the number of models, yeah, sure. Musician, 1 in 10, could be a drummer. Add 1 to run and charge rolls. That's what it's about, the run and charge. Where you, with the charge rolls, where you set them up from the edge or you resummon them back. Armory of Madness. If any wounds by the student's attacks allocated by an enemy, they cannot receive or issue commands till the end of the turn. So it only really affects Inspiring Presence, and maybe if they haven't attacked yet and they're going to all-out attack. Because basically, if you've already attacked them, they've already done all-out defense. So they've already received it. So there isn't really anything. There might be other stuff that happens at the end of the combat phase, but it's not very likely. Then you got Royal Bodyguard. It has a ward of 5 up. In addition, add 1 to ward rolls for friendly flesh equipped hero wholly within 3 of this unit. So these guys are like really good. Like they're a little shield, you know, they're serfs, so fairly easy to keep up. You can bring them back, all that kind of stuff, but they protect your heroes. So I can see everyone taking a little unit of these. And they're not expensive. So these guys, the Crypt Guard, so the only battle line in Morgorn, and they're 140 points for 10. So, yeah, I mean, it's a 140 point little ward boost for your heroes. This is quite cool. You know, they've got a decent reach. I mean, if you were playing like a ghoul screen with them behind, they're attacking over the top, and then they're protecting the heroes. I mean, you could do something with like, you know, like ghouls in front, like the peasants, these guys behind us, the knights, and then the knights behind them. Now these guys, these for me are these are it, right, for me. These are great. Let me zoom right in there. Right, let's go. We want these. We want lots of these. Move 12, 3 wounds, 4 up save. They fly. They have a champion that gets +1 attack. They have a standard bearer, which it says if it made a charge move, each model counts as free for contested objectives. It's got a musician, add 1 to run and charge. Perfect, that's what we want, +1 charge. And it says after it makes a charge move, pick an enemy unit within 1 inch. They cannot receive Unleash Hell, so they can't stand and shoot you. In addition, you roll 1 dice for each model in this unit that's within 1 inch of that enemy unit. For each 4+, they take D3 mortal wounds. So you charge them, you fly, you get, you know, you 4-ups do D3 mortals per model. They can retreat and charge. So you can retreat out of combat, charge something else. You've got 2-inch reach, which is great. You've got basically 5 attacks, freeze, rend 1, damage 1 or 2. But if you've got the, if you've taken Hollowmourne on the charge, they're damage 2. So that's 5 damage 2 attacks per model, 6 on the champion. It's not that far away from the Stormcast Dragons. So, like, 3 of these, okay, are actually chucking out 16 attacks. And they're 150 points for free. Now, these are, like, ridiculously cheap. Yeah, they're not Ren 2, sure. Not quite a Stormcast Dragon. But they're pretty good. Like, I mean, for the points, and you can bring them back, and you can heal them, and you can they can become battle line if you've taken the Gore Warden, which you're going to take because he's awesome. They can deep strike and do attack things. These are great. Like, I think you could take an army of these. Like, 8 units of these. Was it 6 of them as 300 points? That's good. Like, that's really good. And they're battle line. So you could reinforce twice. You could have 9 of them in a unit. That's 9 dice on a 4 if you take D3 mortals on the charge. You can retreat and charge. You can just, like, ping ball. Yeah, they're not very resilient. They'll go down quick. But they're very impactful. And you can bring them back. And you can reinforce them. And you've all got that target for that 5-up ward prayer if you want to get it off. I'm a big fan of these. I think these are great, as you could probably tell. Models are cool. They're really weird. They look like little knights on the weird bat things. I like the bat looks like the Vargulf. It's cool. These guys, yeah, you can try and get hold of these. I say that tongue in cheek. So Crypt Flayers 160, Crypt Horrors 130. Flayers, yeah, the Death Scream looks okay. 4s, 3s, Ren 2, damage 1. I don't rate these. I don't like the fact their combat attacks 4s, 3s, Ren 1, 1 damage, and they don't do mortals anymore. They do have an interesting rule, which is this Escort Courier. Sorry, Courtier, not Courier, but it's basically the same thing. So when you pick the unit to move, you can pick up a hero with 7 or less wounds. You can't do it to Vargulf. That cannot fly. That is wholly within 3 of the unit. Remove the hero. After finishing moving this unit, set that unit up 3 inches away from all enemy units. Now, it doesn't say that hero cannot then move. Because it says, pick the unit to move in the movement phase. Pick it, friendly Scots hero that's wounded 7 or less, cannot fly, wholly within 3. Remove that hero. After the unit's finished moving, set the hero wholly within 3 of this unit, more than 3 away. But you're in the movement phase. He hasn't moved. He's been picked up, set up. So that hero could then move. That's how I read it. That might not be the intention. It might get FAQ'd. I don't know how useful it is. It might be. It might be good for objective. It might be good to get somebody you can't really get. Get around the back, get into a wizard, rip them to bits. So they might have a place in your list. I'm not saying they're awful. I just don't. I liked it when they did the mortals on the 6s to hit when you attacked in combat. I don't know why they took it away. It felt good. Crypt Horrors, they move 7, so they're not that much slower, to be honest. Same wound, same save. We're used to these. Same number of attack, same reach. Same profile. The difference is the damage 1. They're no Ren to damage 2, rather than Ren 1 damage 1. They heal. They improve their rend if they're wholly within 6 of a courtier or 18 of an abhorrent. So they're going to be rend 1. So you get the same profile as the Crypt Flayers with that caveat, but you're damage 2. And if you roll a 6 on a wound roll, it's damage 3. Plus they're knights, so if you take the formation that they're 2 damage on the extra damage on the charge, there'll be damage 4 or damage 3 on the charge. 4 if you roll a 6 to wound. They're cheap as well. They're 130. Whether they're better than the knights, whether they're better than the flayers, I don't know. But I quite like the idea of a big unit of them. The fact they got that passive heal, that helps. So yeah, I don't know. It's good. I like those. Crypt Ghouls. I originally thought these were a bit rubbish. You only take them in 20s now. They're 160. But I don't know if that was a thing before. I can't remember. I used to be like 100 points for 10, and then you went down to 80. So 2 attacks. They're 1 damage. 4s, no rend. Now, the reason these could be good is if you roll a 6 to hit, it just wounds. If they've got 20 or more, it's on a 5 or 6. It just wounds. Plus, you improve the rend if they're wholly within 18 of an abhorrent or 9 of a Courteous. It's a bit like the Crypt Horrors. So if you actually do the math on that, if you've got like 20 of them, let's say you got 40 of them, that's 80 attacks. A third of those are going to automatically wound a Ren 1. That's pretty good. Like, you know, I mean, it's not awful. It's a lot of points. I mean, it's 300. I mean, would you just take 6 knights? Probably. But yeah, 6 flayers. So I like the big guys. I think they're better. Got the Royal Beast Flayers. These are the Underworld Warband. No, Warcry Warband, aren't they? Yeah. That's some attacks, some stuff. I think they've changed them slightly. They got the Awful Hounds. I really hate these models. Extra wounds or whatever. But it says enemy monsters within 3 cannot carry out monsters' rampages. Reduce the damage characters to weapons used by any monsters by 1 while they're within 3 of a friendly unit with this ability to minimum 1. And while it includes Awful Hands, add 2 to the move of this unit if it's within 18 of any monsters that have any wounds allocated to them. So like anti-monster things, they're okay. I mean, I know people took them to do the heal. They are serfs, so you can bring them back. You can heal them. And these Royal Beast Flayers are 115 points for 10. So yeah, they're pretty good for the cost. You know, you've got some decent attacks in here. So yeah, they can't be battle line. It's probably the only thing that makes them a little bit worse. You got the unridden versions of the mounts. I'm not going to go through these. They're basically the same, bit less wounds, one less, you know, same save. It's all about the more. You got Terror on the zombie dragon. I think they got riding it has Terror as well. Let's have a quick look. I might have missed that. Yeah, he's got Draconic Terror. So yeah, same thing. Just different name, same ability. So and then he's got you can do the zombie dragon descent thing where you can circle high. Yeah, 7 attacks. It's all 4s, 3s, some rend, some damage. Terrorgeist got the gaping maw. That's the main thing. Yeah, so they're okay. Then we're on to endless spells. So you got the barricade. This one's quite interesting. So casting value of 5, 24-inch range. Set it up. 1 inch for models, terrain features, other endless spells. Only fleshy, of course, wizards can cast it. It's a terrain feature with grasping hands rule. It can be dispelled though. Enemy units within 3 cannot run or retreat. In addition, if an enemy model starts a move within 3, half the distance it can move. So the barrier is really good. It's basically like a big snare, locks people into combat, stops people running. Great. It's quite a long range, 24 inches, only cast on a 5. I really like the barricade. It's cheap as chips as well, these. These are really cheap. So the barrier is 20 points. So I think you'll take this, you know, this is so good. Chalice of Azoran. So it's predatory, 24-inch range, is big range. Moves 8, flies. Keep track of number of models killed within 12. Roll dice each time a model slain within 12. For each 4+, allocate a wound. You can basically heal a wound to a court model within 12, or 1 slain model to 1 court unit as a wound catch to 1. So you either heal stuff or bring 1 wound models back. Obviously, probably the most important thing to do with this is heal your heroes. If you've got Azoran or a zombie dragon, you want to keep them alive. This is a really good way of doing it, particularly as it doesn't say enemy models. It's like Harvester on crack, so it can be your ghouls that are getting chewed up because you put a screen. Because you could put like a line of ghouls around Azoran, or those Crypt Flare guard, give him a 5-up ward. Well, he already has one, but you know, like that. Those guard, then they kill the guard. The chalice gets powered up. The chalice then heals him back. So yeah, you got some play here. I think the chalice is really good. It's on 50 points, so a little bit more taxing, but it's good. Then we got the Stampede. It's on a 7, so not ideal. It's got a 3d6-inch move. So again, it's random. It says range of 3d6. You set it up. Then it moves 12. And then it says, after the end of spell's move, roll 6 dice for each unit. There's any models it passed across. For each roll that is greater than their wounds, they take a mortal wound. For each 6, they take 1 mortal wound regardless. So basically it's 6 dice, could be 2s mortal wounds, could be 3s, could be 4s. It's a bit random range. It's 60 points. I just don't see you going to take that. I don't. It's like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, you can hit multiple units, so you could hit a lot of things. It doesn't really do anything to heroes. You chip a couple wounds here and there. Yeah, don't see it. Then you got the Charnel Throne. This is the faction terrain. It's changed quite a bit. I did explain this earlier. So after territory determined, set this faction terrain wholly within your territory, more than free from all objectives, terrain features, blah blah blah. Defensible, where it's garrisoned, the hero of 7 or up to 7 wounds, so no Vargulf. That does give you obviously +1 save, -1 hit. If you've got a knights nearby, you would have a 5-up ward. Gaulish Landmark. Enemies within 12 cannot be affected by any abilities that allow it to ignore battle shock tests. So notice it says any ability. So that's anything. So I think that even means that OBR would have to take battle shock tests because they say they've got an ability that says they relentless discipline, I think it is, or that ranks of unbroken descent, actually it might be. Relentless discipline is a resource they used to have. So they would take battle shock tests, right? Because they don't ignore them anymore. So you could pop Mortec Guard and stuff with battle shock, crazy. Start your hero phase, add D3 to the points of any friendly fleshly occult hero that is garrisoning. So this is what I said about you could be in this, you get your D3, you're guaranteed to get to 6 because you can see this. You do your heroic action as well. So you can see these dice rolls before you decide your battle tactic. Then you go, right, I've got 6. My whole army's within 12 of that guy in the throne. Just going to pop that as my battle tactic and sit here. Done. Game. That's like good. The deed points being summoned, like getting those points early is important. It's a 12-inch bubble +1 attack. It means they're fighting you there. They're going to struggle with not running away, particularly with the bravery debuffs. I really like what they've done with the Carnal Throne. I think it's going to be your epicenter for your army. Not just a summon stick that you then abandon. I like the idea of the guy sitting in it. It's going to be an archregent, let's be honest. Just a really good way of generating points. Yeah, I like the Carnal Throne. It's good. So that's all the War Scrolls. So into points. So things I think. Let's go. I haven't talked about Nagash. We know what Nagash does. It's fine. It's basically the same. Things that I think are good and things that I think are not good. So let me highlight good things. We'll start with good things. Okay, so this is my personal opinion. We'll go with these guys straight away. Morbeg Knights. I think these guys are okay. I think Gormain's going to be in every list. I think Azoran's good. I like the Terrorgeist. The Archregent's good. The Gaul one's really good. I think you would be maybe orange, which is like, yeah, maybe. I'm not going to do Nagash. Who knows, the best thing in the world, but I think this is there. Maybe orange. Just for the run and charge spell, but there's more efficient ways of doing it. Kind of down on this guy. Kind of down on them. I'm going to put these as green. No, that's with orange as well. They're like you can pick and choose your poison. And I think things that you don't really want to touch. That guy. And I think if we go orange for the beast flayers, and the herald. Then if we do the endless spells, orange, this is green, and this is red. So, okay, that's where I've gone with that. So, I don't know if that's right or wrong, but there we go. That's what I've decided. So, if I was writing a list, I would probably start with either Azoran or a Abhorrent King on Terrorgeist. Probably the Terrorgeist, just because I want a more dynamic army. I would probably take Hollowmourne. I'll go for an Archregent or maybe 2. Gore Warden, probably 2. Then a Goremain, that's my 5. That's my 6 hero slots. Then I'd fill the rest up with more Beg Knights and maybe 1 unit Crypt Guard, and then Flayers or Horrors to flavour, and the Barricade, and that would be my list. So that's probably where I would go. So let's do some quick math. So let's do a little bit of math. So let's just say we're going to take a character, whoever it is. We could take the Barricade. Then let's take some characters. So we're going to take an Archregent. We're going to take Goremain. We're going to take a Gore Warden. Maybe 2 Gore Wardens. Then I'm going to take more Beg Knights and or Flayers or Horrors. So let's just say I've got 900 points. So I've basically got 6 units of more Beg Knights or Horrors or Flayers to so I could go, right, let's take 6 Flayers. So that's 320. Then let's take more Beg Knights, more Beg Knights, more Beg Knights, more Beg Knights. 1990. So that's 4 units of 3 more Beg Knights, 6 Flayers, 6 heroes. 1 could be Azoran or it could be the Terrorgeist. If you do got 10 extra points. Now you could also swap the Flayers out for Horrors. Then you've probably got enough points to put in Crypt Guard if you want them. You might even drop 1 for another Archregent for more healing. Gore Warden could be an Archregent. So it's all swappable. Everything's about 150 points. So you can basically pick and choose. You might want a screen. So you go, actually, I'll put a unit of 20 ghouls in and I'll drop 3 of the Flayers down and upgrade 3 of the things to that and I'll have 3 units of 3. Whatever. I just think when you write the list, you're going to be coming to Crypt Guard is maybe, depending, probably not actually. Is you're going to go more Beg Knights, you're going to go Flayers or Horrors, you know, to get your battle line in. The Barricade, I think you're going to take that every time. I think you need Goremain. The Gore Warden, you take at least 1. Archregent, you can take at least 1. You're going to take either a Azoran or a Ghoul King on Terrorgeist. You might take both. I don't think the Zombie Dragon makes the cut with the points cost. And that's the list. And you might take 20 ghouls. So it's like 20 ghoul screen, all the rest of the stuff. Bish bash dos, done. So that's the kind of list that I would be running to start. And I'd go in Hollowmourne to make this battle line, obviously. And then I'd make my general the Gore Warden to make the Morbeg Knights battle line. Obviously, that doesn't mean the trait isn't on your Terrorgeist if you take the Terrorgeist. But then there's an argument to take Azoran. So, and what's nice is you can stick them in most of the new models as well if you don't like the older models. I quite like them, so I don't mind. So yeah, to summarize the book, let's just say that I think that's where I'm looking at. Now, one interesting thing I haven't mentioned is that Soulblight Gravelords can be allies. Now, they do have the vampire keyword on a lot of these things, so there might be some synergy with Soulblight. I don't know if they say vampire or they say Soulblight Gravelords. I'd have to go through and check. I don't know off the top of my head. It's just my 2 cents. So what I would say is I think that the book's in a good place. I think it's competitive. I think it's got good battle tactics. I like the resource mechanic. Some of the new units are cool. I think it's got the movement still. You still got the stuff coming on from the sides. I think your heroes are super important. They are super, super squishy compared to a lot of other armies. I think you're going to need to make sure you keep them safe. Obviously, there are ways to do that. We talked about the shadowy obfuscation. We talked about Garrison the Throne. We've talked about the Crypt Guard. I just think, yeah, it's a great army. And then you can do stuff like if you wanted to go Gristle Gore, you can fill your boots with big monsters. I'm sure it's viable. I'm sure it's fun. Yeah, I really like the book. I think it's a good balance. I think a lot of the janky dice rolling's gone. Like even like what they've done with the ghouls, they just made that way more efficient to roll those dice. Like roll the dice, I don't have to roll the wound roll. It's done. Just get on with it. There's no re-rolls. You know, the re-rolls, the only one you care about is the bite. You still got access to that on the Terrorgeist. So yeah, I'm really quite excited to see how this hits the scene. I think from the death factions, like OBR now are pretty hammered down from what I can see. These guys just have a lot more interesting things going on. They've got a lot more movement, they've got a lot more table presence, their battle tactics are easier, they're a lot cheaper, so you can have a lot more diversity in your army without sacrificing anything. I think they've got some cool new models. So I'm super excited about it. So for me, it's a big thumbs up, this Battletome. I think it's not, I don't think it's overpowered. I like death, as you know. That's why I've covered this one. I haven't done cities because it really doesn't interest me. And with the channel, I don't want to be covering books just for the sake of it. I want to do stuff that I care about, I'm passionate about, because when I'm looking at it, I kind of understand. Whereas with AOS, if it's a faction I've never really played, then I'm doing a review, but I don't know the difference between the last book and this book, and I'll have to go back and look at it, and I'm not going to play it. I'm not really thinking about armies, so with these guys, I would probably play these guys. I've got an army. I've got a big army of flesh eaters. I've played them at tournaments before. Yeah, I would be excited about getting them on the table. I think the Moorbeg Knights, they're so cool. I really like those. Danger, I think, is the Moorbeg Knights are going to go up. I would see the Varghulf come down, probably. I would say that the Archregent's probably going to go up. I would say the Gore Warden could potentially go up. So the green things I've highlighted, I would actually quite like to see the Terrorgeist Summer Dragon come down, because I think they're well overpriced. Yeah, the Terrorgeist got the Mortal Wound Bite, it's great, but he's only 10 points cheaper than Azoran. Like, why would you not just take Azoran? I mean, he's so good. And I'm just thinking they're not slow either. Like everyone's like movement 10 or 7, or it's all fast. +2 move with the spell with Deranged Transformation. So yeah, I don't know. The Barricade, I love that. The Barricade's great. I think that's going to be in every list. Just that's so much control. There's better defense if they can't get to you. What's better defense than that? And even funnier, you could defense. It's offense. Defense, yeah. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this book review. Sorry if I'm coughing, spluttering through this. I've been trying to get this out this week, picking my moments when I don't feel quite as crappy as I have. I will be doing my Dragon review show of the event at College Teams. It's going to be next week now. I've not had the frame of mind to record. There'll be a new Old World article up on Monday about Magic. Super excited. I'll be doing that. I did find all my old books in the loft. They're up in the loft still. I will bring them down, and I will go through some of my old stuff, getting ready for Old Hammer. I'm very excited about the Old World. Doesn't mean I'm not excited about Age of Sigmar as well. I had a really good time at Carnage Teams. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Please hit a like, tell your friends, share it on your groups. I'm crap at social media. Hopefully people enjoy this, and let me know in the comments below what list you would run. If there's any units you're particularly excited about, if there's anything you're a bit disappointed with, we can have a chat. So thanks for watching. I'll catch you all in the next one. Have a good weekend, guys, and hopefully you don't miss out on your FOMO box. I wish you all the best. If you want to support us, click through the link, go to Element, helps us. You get extra crystals if you put my referral code. It's all in the description of the video. Please do that. It helps me keep the channel going, and I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much, and I will see you soon. Peace. Bye.